A silent adversary is moving through Russia's ranks. And it isn't artillery, drones, or long-range strikes. It's something older, quieter, relentless. This conflict has produced countless engagements, advances, and withdrawals. Equipment destroyed, positions overrun, losses counted in daily briefings. Yet beyond the visible battlefield, another struggle is unfolding, one that doesn't rely on ammunition at all. Imagine for a moment that you're a soldier deployed to the front. You arrive expecting coordinated operations, synchronized air and ground maneuvers, calculated offensives. Instead, your days are consumed by digging and reinforcing trenches. When aerial threats appear overhead, you disappear into the earth. The trench becomes your shelter, your workplace, your sleeping quarters. It is cold, damp, mud clings to everything, supplies are limited, and everywhere, movement. At first you think it's your imagination. Then you see them, rodents darting along the trench walls, in your packs, near your rations, in the corners where water collects. When you try to rest, they scatter across the ground and sometimes over you. Food must be guarded, water containers checked. The environment itself feels hostile. Conditions like these aren't new to warfare. History is full of them. But prolonged exposure creates risks that don't show up on battlefield maps. It begins subtly. A fever, fatigue, abdominal pain. You assume it's exhaustion. Everyone is exhausted. Commanders expect readiness. Operational tempo doesn't slow for discomfort. You continue reporting for duty, participating in defensive actions, responding to strikes, adjusting positions. Then your symptoms worsen. Medical personnel are stretched thin. Rotations are irregular. In many forward areas, comprehensive examinations simply don't happen. Minor issues are treated symptomatically, if at all. Serious conditions can go undetected until they force a withdrawal to rear facilities. According to reporting from the Telegraph and analysis from health intelligence groups such as Airfinity, cases of what is commonly called mouse fever have been identified among Russian personnel. The medical term is hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, or HFRS, an illness transmitted not between soldiers, but through contact with contaminated rodent waste. The symptoms can be severe: high fever, internal complications, sudden drops in blood pressure, and kidney impairment. Fatality rates vary depending on strain and treatment access. There is no widely deployed universal cure. Care focuses on managing symptoms. Vaccines exist in limited contexts, but are not broadly applied across this theater. And HFRS is only part of the story. Reports have described formations that include personnel with chronic conditions such as HIV and hepatitis. According to investigations cited by Novaya Gazeta, some units within motorized rifle regiments were organized in ways that distinguish soldiers managing infectious diseases from others. Special markings were reportedly used in certain instances. These soldiers, sources suggest, were equipped similarly to other formations. No substantial differences in provisioning. Engagement assignments did not appear to shift dramatically. In effect, illness did not automatically remove a soldier from operational deployment. Why would a military operate this way? Part of the answer may lie in manpower strain. Since partial mobilization measures began in 2022, the composition of Russia's deployed forces has evolved. Many early reservists have rotated out or suffered losses. Increasingly, volunteer recruitment has filled gaps. Financial incentives have drawn individuals from varied backgrounds, including those with pre-existing medical conditions. Medical journal reporting from The Lancet noted a significant rise in HIV cases within the military environment compared to pre-conflict levels. Analysts pointed to inconsistent access to treatment, supply shortages, and inadequate field medical practices as contributing factors. In crowded forward hospitals, priorities are immediate trauma care, blast injuries, shrapnel wounds, burns. Chronic disease monitoring becomes secondary. Single-use medical supplies may be stretched. Antiviral therapies can be interrupted during deployment cycles. Each disruption increases health risk, both for individuals and for force readiness overall. And readiness matters. A soldier struggling with untreated illness is less capable during engagements. Reaction times slow. Physical endurance declines. Recovery from minor injuries becomes more complicated. In a conflict defined by artillery exchanges, drone surveillance, and sudden advances or withdrawals, even small reductions in capacity can influence outcomes. There is also the broader strategic question. What happens when these soldiers rotate home? Russia is already navigating demographic pressures. Lower birth rates and an aging population present long-term challenges. If significant numbers of veterans return with unmanaged infectious conditions, the public health implications extend far beyond the battlefield. Screening systems would need to expand. Treatment capacity would have to grow. Education campaigns would become essential. Failure to address these issues could compound existing strains. Some observers argue that the continued deployment of ill personnel reflects urgency, a drive to sustain frontline numbers regardless of underlying vulnerabilities. Others interpret it as systemic breakdown in medical logistics. Whatever the cause, disease has become an underreported variable in this war. It affects operational tempo. It influences morale. It complicates logistics. And it raises questions about sustainability. For Ukraine's forces, the primary threats remain conventional: artillery barrages, drone reconnaissance, armored pushes. Yet close-quarters engagements, trench-clearing operations, building-to-building fighting carry inherent biological risks whenever infectious disease is present. Military medical services on all sides must account for this dimension. Meanwhile, independent outlets such as Euronews have discussed the possibility of further mobilization measures if recruitment fails to meet demand. Additional manpower could ease pressure temporarily, but without parallel investment in medical infrastructure, health challenges would persist. As this war continues to evolve, so too will the hidden dimensions shaping it. Engagements will be analyzed, advances mapped, losses tabulated. But the deeper story, the one unfolding beneath the surface, may ultimately define the long arc of impact. If you want to stay ahead of that story, beyond the headlines, beyond the daily briefings, make sure you're here for our next deep dive. Because sometimes the most important battles are the ones no one sees coming.